Angelina Jolie, known for her humanitarian work, found herself in a war-torn village nestled in a remote corner of the Middle East. The once thriving community was reduced to rubble, its people weary from years of conflict. Jolie was there as a UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador, tasked with assessing the needs of the displaced families. As she walked through the dusty streets, the despair was palpable. Families huddled under makeshift tents, children played with scraps of debris, and the air was thick with silence. Yet, amidst the desolation, one striking image caught her eye: a series of vibrant murals painted on the walls of a damaged school building. The colors seemed out of place in the bleak surroundings, but carried a message of hope. The artist behind the murals was a young man named Samir, a local who had stayed behind during the conflict to document the community's stories through his art. Each mural depicted scenes of resilience: a mother comforting her child, farmers returning to their fields, children holding hands. "These walls," Samir explained to Angelina, "are all that's left of our stories. If we don't paint them, they'll fade away." Inspired by Samir's work, Angelina saw an opportunity. What if art could not only preserve the past, but also serve as a bridge to a brighter future? The idea sparked a new mission within her: to create a program that would use art as a tool for healing and rebuilding. Back in her temporary office at the refugee camp, Angelina worked late into the night, drafting a proposal. She envisioned a project called the Refugee Renaissance, which would transform the ruined village into a canvas of hope. With Samir's help, she planned to recruit local artists and volunteers to create murals, sculptures, and installations that reflected the community's resilience and dreams. The next morning, Angelina met with camp leaders and international aid organizations to pitch her idea. While some were skeptical, questioning whether art could truly address the community's deeper needs, others were intrigued. Art, Angelina argued, is not just decoration. It's a way to process trauma, to reclaim identity, and to inspire action. Samir was pivotal in rallying local support. His reputation as the village's artist of the people gave the project credibility. Word spread quickly, and soon, dozens of villagers, farmers, teachers, and even children volunteered to be part of the initiative. Angelina secured funding from international donors who were moved by the emotional stories behind Samir's murals. With resources in place, the Refugee Renaissance officially began. The first task was to designate walls, courtyards, and public spaces as the future sites for the artwork. Angelina and her team worked tirelessly, dividing tasks among locals and ensuring that every voice was heard in the creative process. As the project progressed, something remarkable began to happen. The murals and sculptures were not just beautifying the village, they were transforming its spirit. Angelina noticed how hesitant, broken people gradually found confidence through participation. Mothers painted alongside their children, elders shared forgotten folklore to inspire designs, and teenagers discovered a new purpose as budding artists. One mural in particular became the heart of the project. It depicted a tree with roots extending deep into the soil, representing the community's resilience, and branches reaching toward the sky, symbolizing their aspirations. Villagers took turns painting it, each adding their own personal touch. Angelina frequently joined the creative sessions, getting her hands dirty with paint and clay. She listened as participants shared their stories, tales of loss, survival, and dreams for the future. These moments of connection deepened her resolve to see the project succeed. However, the challenges were mounting. Resources were scarce, and Angelina faced criticism from outsiders who deemed the project a distraction from real aid efforts. "They don't understand," Angelina told Samir one evening. "Healing isn't just about food and shelter, it's about finding hope." Her words were validated when one young boy, who had been mute since losing his parents in the war, began to speak after completing a drawing of his family. His breakthrough became a powerful symbol of the project's impact, silencing many of the skeptics. Despite the growing enthusiasm, not everyone embraced the refugee renaissance. Some villagers resented the attention the art project received, arguing that more pressing issues like clean water and medical supplies should take precedence. Angelina faced a delicate balancing act, ensuring that the project did not overshadow other aid efforts while staying true to its mission. To address the criticism, she collaborated with NGOs to integrate practical support into the initiative. For every mural painted, a water purification system was installed. For every sculpture erected, a community garden was planted. This holistic approach began to win over doubters, proving that art and basic needs could coexist. One of the most moving moments came during the unveiling of a large mosaic in the village square. The artwork depicted a phoenix rising from the ashes, symbolizing the community's journey. As the villagers gathered for the ceremony, Angelina delivered a heartfelt speech. "This phoenix," she said, "is all of you. Your courage, your creativity, your resilience. It's what gives this village its wings." The ceremony ended with a spontaneous celebration. For the first time in years, the village square echoed with laughter, music, and dance. Angelina watched from the sidelines, tears in her eyes, as the community reclaimed a sense of normalcy and joy. The success of the refugee renaissance didn't go unnoticed. News outlets from around the world covered the project, and its message resonated far beyond the village. Donations poured in, and similar initiatives began to spring up in other conflict zones. Angelina was invited to speak at international forums, where she emphasized the transformative power of art in post-conflict recovery. "Art isn't just a luxury," she told a captivated audience at the United Nations. "It's a necessity for healing and rebuilding." Back in the village, the murals and installations continued to grow, turning the once devastated community into a beacon of hope. Samir emerged as a leader, mentoring young artists and expanding the project's reach to neighboring towns. Angelina, meanwhile, prepared to move on to her next mission. As she said her goodbyes, the villagers presented her with a hand-carved sculpture of a dove, a token of their gratitude. "You gave us more than art," Samir said. "You gave us back our spirit." Years later, the once war-torn village had become a vibrant symbol of resilience and unity, a shining example of how art and collective effort could rebuild not just infrastructure, but the very fabric of a community. The murals, sculptures, and gardens crafted during the refugee renaissance stood as enduring testaments to the power of creativity and the human spirit. Tourists and humanitarian workers from across the globe visited the village, marveling at the transformation. The vivid murals, once painted as symbols of hope in the midst of despair, had become cultural landmarks. Guided tours led by villagers told the story of how art brought people together during one of their darkest chapters. "These murals are more than paintings," Samir explained to a group of visitors. "They are the heartbeat of our village, a reminder of where we've been and how far we've come." The success of the refugee renaissance inspired a global movement. Angelina, in her continued work as a humanitarian, ensured that the lessons learned from the project were shared widely. She spoke at international conferences, published essays, and collaborated with governments and NGOs to replicate the model in other regions recovering from conflict and disaster. "Art," she said in a speech at a UNESCO event, "is not a luxury reserved for peaceful times. It is a tool of survival, a means of reclaiming humanity in the face of destruction." Meanwhile, the village itself became a hub for innovation and education. Samir, who had grown into a renowned artist and leader, established an arts academy in the village. The school not only trained young artists, but also taught subjects like history, literature, and environmental sustainability, using creative methods inspired by the Renaissance Project. Students from nearby towns traveled to attend, and the academy's graduates went on to create similar projects in their own communities. One particularly poignant moment came when the village hosted a reunion for those who had participated in the refugee renaissance. People from different walks of life, farmers, teachers, children who had grown into adults, returned to the place where they had rediscovered hope. The event featured live music, art exhibitions, and emotional speeches. "This village taught me to dream again," said Amina, who had been a young girl during the project and was now a successful architect, "and I've carried that dream with me wherever I've gone." Angelina returned for the reunion as well, greeted with warmth and gratitude. She walked through the village square, now bustling with life, and paused at the phoenix mosaic that had been the centerpiece of the project. Its vibrant colors remained as bold as the day it was unveiled, a timeless representation of the village's spirit. As the sun set over the village, casting a golden glow over the murals and gardens, Angelina reflected on the journey that had brought her there. She thought about the young boy who had found his voice through drawing, the mothers who had turned pain into purpose, and the way art had brought strangers together as a family. She realized that the true power of the refugee Renaissance lay not in the art itself, but in the connections it had fostered. The understanding that even in the most dire circumstances, people could find common ground. The refugee Renaissance became more than just a story of one village. It grew into a global symbol of what was possible when people chose compassion, creativity, and collaboration over despair. It showed that rebuilding wasn't just about bricks and mortar, it was about restoring faith in humanity. Angelina left the village with a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing the work they had started would continue to ripple outward. The villagers, empowered and inspired, carried the torch forward, ensuring that the spirit of the refugee Renaissance lived on. Decades later, its story would still be told, a tale of resilience, art, and the unbreakable bonds of community. Like the video and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.